And welcome to our community. This is Susie Thomas with you this morning, and I'm visiting with Terry Bailey. Terry is from Indian Run Christian Church, and he's with the Community Harvest Garden. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, first off, how in the world did Indian Run Christian Church get involved with Community Harvest in the first place?
One of our young men who remembered a project that we did back in the day when I was senior minister, youth minister, cook, bottle washer, everything else. We raised a few hundred pounds of potatoes, the youth group, over the summer, and gave them to a local food ministry. When this young man grew up and became a deacon, he wanted to enlarge that project, and he researched and found the Community Harvest Ministry, which is a great fit for us because
it is. And for some who might not be familiar or might not remember when they were on our community, tell us who they are.
They're a local food rescue operation. Mostly they rescue food from restaurants and grocery stores and distribute it to all the feeding ministries, soup kitchens, community pantries, and such all over the county. About a half a dozen organizations also grow gardens like ours to give fresh produce in season.
And that is so important because so many times with the food pantries and so forth, it's great. All the canned goods, that's very necessary, all the pasta and so forth. But you've got to have, just for health reasons, the fresh produce.
Yep.
So what grows well around here? What have you been growing?
Our big hitters are potatoes and melons and sweet corn. A lot of the weight comes from those, but we also grow peppers and cabbage and sweet potatoes and eggplant and whatever else, turnips that we can, try to make it last as long as we can through the season and provide the greatest variety.
Now, this is quite an operation. Your Community Harvest Garden is how large and where is it located?
It's a little over an acre right now, and it's in Osnaburg Township on Route 44 between East Canton and Waynesburg, if that kind of tells your listeners where. Easy to see, right on the highway. Notice a great big stand of sunflowers right by the road, and there you are.
Neat. And it's got to take a lot of volunteer help.
Lots.
Tell us the whole process. How have you done this?
The people of the congregation are just so willing. They want to glorify Christ, and we're very agricultural background people anyway, so that helps. And we start in May, late in May, and people will come out and do all the planting. A couple of local farmers, part of the congregation, help us spreading manure in the fall and sowing rye when we want to cover crop. And we spend Monday mornings and Saturday mornings then, right, all summer long after it's planted, hoeing and watering and working and then harvesting.
Oh, wow. And all ages working together at the
little
congregation?
Kids, senior citizens, everybody in between.
How big is your congregation at Indian Run?
About 200 on a given Sunday. A little less now in August, but that's...
Just about everybody pitching in a little bit with this?
Everybody pitches in.
And how do you decide what we're going to grow?
We know what has grown well in the past. We try a new experiment every year. Sweet potatoes this year, seeing how they do. Some things that have not gone well, onions don't grow well for us there. We tried them, it didn't work. We cut that out. Carrots not so good.
Is that right?
And we concentrate on vegetables, as one of our deacons says, one and done. We don't really want to pick green beans or strawberries forever, but watermelon, you whack it off and you got an armload.
And that's so smart. Yeah, because I know people with way too much zucchini and they don't know what to do with it. Or tomatoes, like they're starting to look for cars that are unlocked so they can put them in the back seat.
And our people all do that as well. They bring those things from their home garden. We don't plant zucchini in the church garden because we know we can get it from our people.
Oh, that's interesting.
They bring it every Sunday, and then Monday when we deliver vegetables, that goes out with what we've grown.
So this partnership with Community Harvest, it is not only Indian Run Christian Church.
No, there are others.
As far as churches partnering, and then also your congregation has private personal gardens that they contribute as well.
They bring it to the church and we add it to ours, yes.
What does this add up to? This must be lots of food.
Last year, our goal was 20,000 pounds. We actually, at the end of the year, turned in 27,000 pounds of produce. And
Wow.
this year, our goal is 25,000 pounds.
And how are you doing?
As of this morning, 10,500 and a few pounds. So
Okay, and we're mid-August.
Yeah.
So how does that compare to where you ought to be?
we're okay. We're actually just a little bit ahead of last year at this time. The big harvest happened in the end of August, the 1st of September. We just have started those, digging potatoes like 1,900 pounds at a whack, and it builds up.
Yeah. Terry, this has not been a great summer for
No.
watering a garden. So how did you pull this off?
Again, hard work from the congregation and blessing from God. We have a creek that flows right by our garden plot, and we've been pumping water out of the creek into plastic tanks and applying that. One of our trustees has a pond on his property from which we have pumped some water, and we've put 10,000 gallons of water on in addition to the little bit of rain we've had.
Wow.
It's been enough, but no more than that.
So, but you haven't had to buy the water.
No,
You've
we
been
don't buy
pumping
the
out
water.
of the creek.
Correct.
So smart. And that, again, has to be something to do with why you chose that particular location. You're able to do that.
Originally, when we moved to this land we occupy now, we had thought that field was going to be turned into softball fields. God had a better plan. The community harvest garden is so much better than softball fields. So.
Okay, and you say this because all this food stays where? As far as who it's distributed to?
All Stark County institutions. It goes to the Total Living Center, the Stark County Hunger Task Force, the Refuge of Hope, Hope Outreach Ministries, all places like that. Right now, as we deliver the bigger loads, we deliver it directly. We call Faith Barbado, who is the director of the Community Harvest Ministry, and say, where would you like 500 pounds of pumpkins to go?
Wow.
Because there's no point driving all the way up to their headquarters on Fulton Road to take it off our truck, put it on their truck, and have them drive halfway back to our location to deliver it. So yeah, we go to those places directly this time of year.
So you are delivering directly as well. I'm just amazed. Do you have outside volunteers at all helping you, or is this purely your congregation pulling this off?
A very few outside volunteers from time to time, 99% members of the congregation doing all the work.
Are you willing to accept more volunteers?
Absolutely.
So how would a person volunteer? And I'm guessing as more and more harvest time comes along, you'll need some hands.
We'll take all the help we can get. This last week, we had 4 people from Hope Outreach Ministry who received some of the produce come and volunteer to do some work in the garden, which is always a great blessing to us. But you can call the church, Indian Run Christian Church, 330-488-2938, or if you show up on a Monday or a Saturday from 7 to 9 in the mornings when it's not pouring down rain, we will be there and we'll shake your hand and learn your name and hand you a shovel and ready to go.
I just love this. This is just awesome. All right, we're speaking with Terry Bailey. He's from Indian Run Christian Church, talking specifically today about the Community Harvest Garden. Terry, what is it about gardening itself? It seemed like even just biblically, Jesus had all kinds of things talking about growing and gardening and planting. And what is it?
Well, I agree with you completely. The Bible, much of it, speaks from and to an agrarian point of view. God made this good earth and made it so that we could live off of it. And I think that the further we get from the soil, the less instinctively we understand God and the way He made us and the arrangements He made. I think that's one of the reasons that gardening appeals. But, think about the Bible. Ecclesiastes 11 makes a spiritual point, but what Solomon says is if you spend all your time worrying about the wind and the rain, you won't get anything done. You got to plant and harvest, And, of course, Jesus said the fields are wide unto the harvest, but the laborers are few. And pray the master to send forth laborers into his harvest. And he meant other things, but he was using that point of view, which we all instinctively understand, when you got your hands in the soil,
Yeah.
producing food.
As we become more and more of a culture that, as you say, has moved away from it, how do you instill this into younger people, the next generation? Are they learning these principles?
It is a good question, and I'll tell you that some of the kids, and we have little kids, sometimes 5 years old, carrying potatoes, doing what they can, and they are amazed to discover that potatoes grow under the ground. They don't know this, and the whole process fascinates them, and again, it leads us closer to God. So yeah.
How fun to think that a 5-year-old or whatever is learning that, these don't just grow in a bin at the grocery store. Mm-hmm. That you pull them up out of the dirt. Well, I mean, I can't imagine their reaction when they're seeing that for the first time.
They're amazed.
We're speaking with Terry Bailey. He's from Indian Run Christian Church. What is your position there, Terry?
I am the senior minister.
And there you go. So I'm sure that Indian Run is busy with many, many things as well. Give us a little bit about what's going on at your church.
Well, in addition to the Community Harvest Garden program, we have a big recycling program. Again, I set goals. We're rounding up this year 75,000 pounds of scrap metal that we recycle, 40,000 pounds of paper. So we work at those projects. In the wintertime, we manufacture nativity sets for lawns out of plywood. It was just a thing. I don't begrudge people whatever they want, but a few years ago as I was driving around and it was Santa Claus on the John Deere and Santa Claus on the motorcycle and the Grinch and penguins.
Pulling down the lights.
This is what people do in their yards.
All the inflatables.
I thought, what a missed opportunity to proclaim a message with, you got that real estate sitting there. It could give a better message than that. So we made a stand-up nativity set with wise men and camels and everything, about 1/3 life size, that we put up at the church. People got real interested in it because we set it up in the winter in the same field where we grow the garden.
Oh, neat.
And we move it. The wise men and the camels keep migrating closer, and the shepherd and the sheep keep coming from the other direction.
That's
and on
so
Christmas
cool.
Eve, they all get to the creche up on top of the hill where the...
And it's a party.
Yeah, and they're all there, and people follow it. And people ask. So we started manufacturing these just for the cost of the plywood and paint and hardware, and there's probably 40 or 50 of them out in the community now that people have.
I love that it's kind of moving. It's almost like a countdown towards Christmas as you're able to move them closer and closer. How do people get these? Do you take orders?
Well, we do. This year's orders are already full. They've been full since last Christmas.
So keep an eye on that and plan ahead for next year.
You have to plan ahead.
And are these the kind that are under a spotlight, or tell me,
ours
are they painted?
We leave that to the individual landowner, but ours, we light them up,
And they're flat plywood, you say? Or
they're a little three-dimensional. It's a little hard to explain.
Wow.
The camels, you have a flat body, and then you have a hip piece that goes crossways to the body, into which the legs come up from the ground. And
that is so cool.
You've seen reindeer or things that are put together that way. That's the way we design them and make them. And
that is very cool.
Camels, donkeys, cows, all that stuff that goes with it. And the wise men are kind of wedge-shaped, so they're also three-dimensional.
That's incredible. Well, be sure to drive by the garden space this Christmas.
And you'll see the nativity
See what it
set,
looks like, and then you can order one for yourself for next year. We've got to take a break. We've been talking too much. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.